Good evening, everyone. Welcome. If you would, Madam Clerk, take our roll call.
Certainly. Mr. Braun?
Present.
Ms. Pace-Snook?
Present.
Ms. Reclue? Present. Ms. Sabacher? Mr. Shiverdecker?
Here.
Mr. Simmons?
Here.
Mr. Stone?
Present.
And Mr. Washington?
Present.
7 council members present and 1 absent.
Very good. At this time, Pastor Williamson is here to do our invocation, if you would, sir.
Father in heaven, I want to keep first things first tonight and thank you for getting the Heartland through a very difficult 2 weeks. Severe and bitter cold, lots of snow, put great hardship on both man and beast. Thankful, Lord, for those who work our streets, both in the city and county, MoDOT across our state. For those, Lord, law enforcement and firefighters and EMTs and first responders who braved those elements to help us in time of sure and certain need. Equally, am I thankful for those who continue the hard fight against coronavirus. We still have millions in our nation battling for their lives, Lord, but I do see light at some point during this 2021. We're getting some folks vaccinated, and that will be helpful each time that we meet with a new patient, Lord. That helps the numbers. So as we continue to work together as your people, we'll have to be careful to continue to mask and social distance and sanitize and do the things that we can do to help bring this to some kind of a pleasing end. I praise you, Lord, today for the folks in Texas. And I lift them up because the hardship for them has been manifested because of the need for drinking water and food. There are still between 5 and 6 million Texans without food and almost half that many without clean water. We're praying, Lord, with all the effort that's taken place to feed and haul water in, that you'll continue to protect life and limb for our neighbors and our families in Texas. To live in the community that we live, we're always grateful, and I want to be faithful to always express that. And thank you, Lord, for those that lead us, our mayor and council persons, our administrators and department heads, and all of those, the boots on the ground, that keep the public safe and allow us to enjoy the quality of life that we have in this community. For this session tonight, I ask you to bless those that have come from the community to participate. My prayer is, dear God, that everything that is discussed and anything that's decided be pleasing to you. I pray for those in the city family who would continue to need your daily perpetual care for various and diverse physical needs. Thank you for your love tonight. Lead this session and bless these thy people. We pray it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Face the flag. Attention, salute, and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor.
Privilege, sir.
Okay, we've got next up comments from visitors. If anyone here wishes to speak to the council, please step to the podium, state your name and address, and keep your comments to 5 minutes or less, please. Seeing no one come forward, we'll move on. We have next up the consent agenda. Council members may choose to remove an item for discussion. Tonight we have 5 items on the consent agenda. First, council meeting minutes for January 6th, 2021, minutes of February 9th, meeting minutes February 16th of 2021. We have the DOA report for January, and we have the acknowledgement of the following board and commission reports: PUB Utility Board report October 26th, and P&Z Commission December 29th. Did I get it all, Courtney?
You did. You did.
Okay. And I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion of any of these, or anyone want to pull anything off? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. Very good. Okay, next up, we have presentation of our January financials. I did see, yeah, Kathy's here.
Well, I'll start by telling you that we have all our sales tax numbers in, and 2020 was 2.25% ahead of 2019, which I never would have predicted last spring. I would have been wrong there. I did make note of the fact that January payroll 4 days were accrued back to December for time that was actually worked. There are no sales tax revenues recorded in January, because what is distributed in January distribution that I received notice of in February gets accrued back to 2020. Other than that, it was pretty much business as usual, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. Baylor?
The 2.25% increase, was that overall because of the use tax?
No, the use tax is not included in the sales tax.
Ah, okay,
That's a separate line entry.
gotcha, thank you.
Motion to approve the financial report?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. Thank you very much. All right, next up we have what's going to become our monthly update on the smart grid, I guess.
Okay, since that was just the last meeting, there's not a lot to report on, but there is a little bit. Route 27, we're thinking we have it in pretty good shape. We did compare it to some numbers before billing, but since this was a short month, Kathy's going to go ahead and bill like she normally does, and then we're going to go back and pull it and see how it compared to the billing. So, and we did meet with a company. We deal with them all the time in meters and stuff, Annexter. If we was buying the product from Tantalus today, you would have went through Annexter instead of Tantalus. They're like the Missouri rep. And since we have a server out there, their thoughts are, as they met with Bill and Kathy and myself, is go ahead and download the new server program on the server, and then they've got handhelds that they use to put in new systems anymore, where they just go by and scan the barcodes on the meters. And they're thinking, since the database is in the shape it's in, it might be faster just to walk the system and scan the barcodes in and start with a new database.
I think the term that was used in the meeting was, we're going to blow the old database up. We're just going to wipe it clean, start them. There's just so many redundant and duplicate records, everything carrying over into the new stuff that he was definitely fighting it.
So that's where we're at on it. We're waiting on them to get back with us. They can either scan them with their crews, or they said they might let us borrow their scanners and scan them with our crews. So we're waiting on the update. They was going to check with Tantalus and work through Tantalus and make sure that Tantalus didn't see a problem doing it that way, but they didn't feel there would be. And there was two gentlemen from Annexter here, and one of them lives in Fulton, so we know where he lives now.
Daryl, you said that the system in area 27, is that right?
Correct.
Is up and, how many areas do we have of the smart grid?
Oh, that'd be a Kathy question, because I know we number them, but there's numbers that skipped, so.
We probably have about 55 routes, but as far as how many routes are totally implemented with gas, water, and electric, six or seven maybe. Electric is throughout all routes.
The next route we're talking about is Route 36, and Route 27 has 351 total meters in it, and 36 has 568. So, if that helps.
And when you said that that one is doing very well right now. And it was a short month, and Kathy was going to bill as usual. What is as usual billing?
Off the hand reads.
Off the reads, okay,
The meter readers bring in on an account,
okay.
as opposed to electronic people.
They're not estimated. Right. They're not estimated bills.
Some water is
Some.
estimated because of the snow and ice on the ground.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, when it's conditions like this, we try not to open the water meters because we don't want water meters to freeze. So,
Thank you for clarifying that for me.
okay.
All right. Thank you for that. We'll move on with our natural gas discussion. We did have a special meeting last week and just kind of went over the financial situation that the price put us in. And I know we've been sending out information over the weekend, and as we get it, at this time, the natural gas price is back down to $2.50 a decatherm, is that right?
Yes.
Ish, 2.5-ish. So that's back where it should be. The crisis immediately is over, but we're going to feel this, of course, for years to come. The $3 million that we spent over the weekend was money that you could just have put in a burn barrel out in front of City Hall and lit it on fire. That's the way it made me feel. It just made me sick. But we will get back on our feet with our emergency fund. I know we're talking about it now, what different plans we could take. And with that, I'll leave it with you, Bill.
Did you have anything to talk about before we get into that?
Just one thing. During that horribly cold weekend, I think everybody's starting to know that your employees just did great work. It wasn't just the gas. We had a water tank freeze up, one of the big elevated tanks. We had water meters all over town frozen that the guys and gals went out there and took care of those customers. The gas department was checking regulator stations all weekend because with the high prices and the thought of there being a scarcity, they went by and checked them stations and made sure they didn't need to change the pressures. The sewer department, the headworks froze at the sewer plant, so they was there working on that. You already know about the electric department. You know, they didn't really have any outages. I think they had 2. The extra guys came into the power plant to help answer the phone on the water meter calls and stuff like that. One lineman that used to work at the power plant came in to see if he could help get stuff started. And then we had one employee that just had surgery a couple weeks ago. He came in to help. And then, you know, the street department was out. They was trying to keep the streets as best they could. And the meter readers, you know, read all week. I think Kathy will attribute that. You know, so everybody's bills wasn't any longer in days. We was trying to keep that billing cycle to 30. So everybody throughout the city, and they all stepped up and did what they needed to do in some brutally cold weather. So I just wanted to get that in there, that all happened.
They did a great job.
Yeah, and thanks for recognizing them, Darrell. We appreciate that.
And then we do have the daily gas prices. On February 11th, it was $6.31. On the 12th, it was $4.14. And then we hit that weekend, the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th was $224. Then it fell back on the 17th to $129, the 18th, $23, and then it went to $6.26. And it fell to $4 for this past weekend. And today, the report I got was $2.59. So that kind of gives you an idea of what happened on the gas prices yesterday. The Federal Energy Regulatory Committee, FERC, announced that the Office of Enforcement is examining wholesale natural gas and electric market activity during the last week extreme cold weather to determine if there was any market participants engaged in manipulation or other violations. So FERC did release that yesterday, that they was doing that investigation. So I think that's the only thing we've got that's really new.
Daryl, has there been any more conversations about opportunities of federal or state relief to municipalities?
Oh, Lake Bill answered that. The phone calls we've been on so far, it sounded like Illinois was working probably harder than Missouri to try to get some relief to some towns.
And it sounds like Illinois might end up with some loans, low-interest loans. Well, in our situation, and there's some towns in Illinois that physically don't have the cash to pay the bill. So a loan for them is going to be very beneficial and is going to keep the town's lights on. But in our situation, we were fortunate enough to have the cash in the bank in the form of reserves. So even if we were offered a low-interest loan, I don't know that I would get too excited about it, because you got to pay it back. Now, if they want to come and give us, just offer to pay our debt, I'll be second in line. Daryl will beat me. But if it comes down to that, we will do what we can to secure those funds. The president is in Texas, I believe, Thursday, to survey the damage and I understand, to hand out some funds. So that would be, we've made contact with both state and federal elected officials, and that's, even over the weekend, I forwarded a couple of articles on for the internet, and it just kind of said, hey, looks like Texas is going to get some cash. How about the rest of us? And we need it too. So,
Did you get any response on
I
those?
did not. I have not yet.
Imagine that.
I have not. Anyway, so in the front of you, there's a sheet of paper with some numbers on it. Daryl started that this earlier today, and I worked on it this afternoon and this morning to come up with, I am not going to ask the council to take any action on this evening. Okay? We are through the crisis. The damage that's going to happen has occurred. We do not need to overreact or react too quickly to correct what's been happened and to get on this future track. So we put together some numbers on some possible things we could cut in the budget. Some of them are pretty severe. I know Kyle's probably not in a real good mood at the moment when he sees some of the stuff on the list that could possibly be cut, but the general fund does very well off the utility fund, and the utility fund is the fund we need to try and get some funds back into. So it's some of the easiest money to go look at. As I said, I'm not going to ask you guys to do anything with this tonight. Over the next 2 weeks, I'll be meeting with the department heads to see who and what can be sacrificed to what level. Right now there's an awful lot of street programs cut from on this sheet of paper. I don't want to cut them all. I just really don't want to cut them all. We'll figure out some way to get something in there. But so in 2 weeks we'll come back, and at that point I hope to have some recommendations for the city council, and then with your approval we will make some modification. We won't necessarily modify the budget, but we will modify our spending plan of what we're going to continue to keep in the capital expenditures, what we're going to continue to keep in some of the repair and maintenance budgets. All righty?
Bill, if I can, I don't like the idea of just looking at this short period of time and then into 2 weeks, we're going to make a decision what we're going to do capital. I would rather see things settle out a little bit. Maybe we'll get some funds back, potentially. Do I think we will? I'm saying no at this point, but I think it's too soon to have a knee-jerk reaction on adjusting anything at this point. Well, even 2 weeks.
And I'm not going to disagree with that, but some of these projects, Kyle, if it's going to go on, he would like to get it out on the street now. Okay? But if we're going to take those funds back and eliminate that project from contention, I'm saying that it's probably better to do it sooner than later. And if we're going to do it, it would save his guys from doing some of the design and some of the markup and some of the bidding documents and getting it on the spin. We're going to save all the contractors the work of putting the bids together. And
I 100% hear what you're saying. we were fortunate to have the reserves. And is the intention to try to build the reserves back up quicker? What is the intention of cutting capital to cover what we just did? I guess I struggle with that. We did have
It
that.
would return some money to that fund. We met with the utility board yesterday. There was a motion there that they recommended the city council to look at coming up with a plan. It was a much discussion coming up to a motion, but come up with a plan to try and restore reserves in a 3-year period. I think I got that pretty close to right.
Wait a second. It took us 10 years or better to get there, and we're going to restore them in 3. That to me doesn't make sense. Okay, we can talk about
What did
that.
our reserve, what's our reserve fund balance now?
What is it? It's about 1.8 million in the gas fund.
Okay.
In the utility board meeting, there was a lot of discussions about raising gas rates.
I don't
And how
agree with that.
quickly, how quickly do we need to restore the fund? Do we need to do it this year? Do we need to do it over 4 years, over 3 years?
It took us 10 years or better to get where it was.
Well, we lost it in 4 days.
Sure,
Yeah,
I
that's
understand
that's
that.
sort of the
And I'm
fear is
thankful,
that
I'm
another
thankful that we
emergency.
had it, and I'm sure every citizen in the city of Fulton is thankful we had it.
And that was one thing that the utility board kind of got on that path of, this could happen again next month.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of time talking about that there is some urgency on coming up with a plan and beginning the process.
We could have an earthquake in the next month too, potentially, but, okay. We can continue to have a discussion, and I'll continue to have my opinion, and I appreciate it.
And there'll probably never be a perfect answer on that. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. It's going to be a judgment call as to, how aggressively we try to get that fund built back up, so. But yeah, definitely, we don't want to make any really fast decisions. Let's definitely be looking at the next couple weeks, what we're going to get back on this, feedback-wise, but yeah.
Will we have the bills in the next 2 weeks? Do you think? Holschlag?
We're getting our gas bill on the 10th, 11th of March.
Maybe we can call Heather and get the number.
And
Sometimes I have to call.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Darrell.
Yep.
Okay. Next up, we have new business. Tonight, Tamara Tatijan is here with the Chamber of Commerce to give us a quarterly update. Good evening.
Okay, can y'all hear me? You hear me?
Speak a little louder, please. I'm very hard of hearing.
Want me to speak louder? I can project my voice, trust me. So thank you guys for having me tonight for our first quarterly report of 2021. Is it going to work? Aaron, it's not working.
Hey, Darren, thank you.
Oh, there you go. It was on and then I actually turned. There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
Here we go. So first of all, I want to let you all know who our 2021 Chamber Board of Directors are. And we had a little bit of a change this year. Beth Snyder is now our incoming board president. She's here with us tonight. Marty Martin Foreman and Carolyn Perry rolled off of the Chamber Board, and they've been replaced by Janae Danhuser with the Danhuser Machine Company and David Backer with Wise Brothers. The rest of the Chamber Board of Directors has remained the same. I want to provide you a little bit of 2020 in review. Despite the pandemic in 2020, it was still a very busy year, and I think we had quite a bit of success as well. We actually were able to get 36 new members with the Chamber of Commerce with a 92% retention rate. So we did lose some members at the end of 2020, and we knew that was going to happen. We did 9 ribbon cuttings, 1 groundbreaking, 52 virtual events. We got 673 new followers on Facebook, 7,000 views on our directory on our website, and that is our new website that we launched in July. 93,000 views on our new website since July. The FADF distributed over $830,000 from the CARES Act fund from those 3 grants that we did, the Small Business Recovery Grant, the Utility Grant, and the Marketing Grant, helping more than 436 businesses in our community. At the end of 2020, we also held our Show Me Innovation Pitch Competition. This was our 5th year for that event. We had 7 participants this year. We actually had 8 registered, but we had 1 no-show. Sometimes on the day of those events, they get the jitters and they just decide, I'm just not doing it. But we did have 7 participants. All 3 of our winners are up and going. We had judges that included Luis Morales from Tacos and Tequila, Ballard Simmons with the City of Fulton, Jonathan Mack from the Missouri Department of Economic Development, and Paul Zacharias with the Small Business Development Center out of Columbia. So our winners from that event, first place went to JT Farms. They won $3,000 and a prize package to help their business, and they are looking at maybe doing an expansion in the future. Our second and third place winners, second place walked away with $1,500. That went to Show Me Mow and Snow. And then our $750 winner, our third place, was Bombshell Salon and Spa. So it was a good day. We've already got our next event scheduled for Monday, November 1st, 2021. And we hope that we have another city council person that will participate as a judge on that event. We've had Mary so far and Ballard, so we hope that somebody will step up and participate as a judge, because I think it's a great event to show small business support in our community. Next, I want to talk about our 2020 Virtual Business Expo, and this was also kind of a launch for the Shop Local Christmas campaign for the holiday season. We appreciate the City of Fulton being a sponsor of that event and helping us launch that Shop Local. Truthfully, we had record numbers for this virtual event for the Business Expo. Usually we have 200 or 300 people that come through the door, check out the tables, things like that. We had 978 people that participated, and they went through all 31 of the businesses, came up with the secret phrase, and entered for that $1,000 shopping spree. This $1,000 shopping spree went to Melissa Siegel. She was really excited about that. Mayor Cannell came down to the chamber to help award that $1,000 shopping spree, and it was a box full of gift cards from all over our community here. So that really helped bring some attention to the small businesses. We know that they need that help, and this was a very important event, and they were thrilled that we were doing it. So we appreciate you all again for doing that. As a reminder, in 2020, we had 8 new businesses that opened and 1 that reopened. And we are continually working with small businesses, trying to help them open and expand. Also, our Shop Local Advent Calendar. Now, sometimes people wonder, why do we do events like this? Well, it's really about business awareness and bringing people in our community to shop and at our local businesses and those small businesses within Callaway County in the City of Fulton. We also produced a local shopping guide, not only for the Christmas holidays, but also for the Valentine holiday that just hit. That was a guide just to kind of show people examples of what they could buy in our community for their gifts over the Christmas season and for Valentine's Day. But this Shop Local Advent Calendar that we did in 2020, we gave out over $1,100 worth of prizes in the community. We had 23 businesses that participated. We had our top day, our our post engagement was 2,222, which is huge for just one post and getting that much attention and interaction. Our top 3 giveaway packages included GoPo popcorn and a Roku donated by the Callaway Electric Cooperative, Cal Air Mechanical and the Show Me Mow and Snow, and then Smocking Birds and Serenity Valley Winery. But all 23 businesses that participated got a lot of love and a lot of attention, and I think it really helped their businesses. We've had several that said, you know what, whenever that day launched, they just got a ton of business that day, and some of them actually sold out on the items that they were showcasing. So that was a great day. So let's talk about 2021. And I have the Chamber and the FADF up there because I want to remind you all that the Fulton Area Development Foundation and the Chamber of Commerce are like sister organizations. The FADF does not have a staff, so the body of work that is performed for the FADF is done by the Chamber of Commerce. We do this work in collaboration. We do have 2 separate boards. Beth is the board president for the Chamber, and Kim Barnes is the Fulton Area Development Foundation board chair. So the work that's done here that I'm going to talk about is a lot of it's done by the FADF, and this is our economic development. So before I get started on this, we do have a project, Correct Life, that a lot of you all may have seen the ground moving up by the hospital. So they did that in the fall. So they are planning to start their hiring in fourth quarter of 2021, and they plan to open in the spring of 2022. But as a reminder, this project started in early 2018 with Bruce Hackman. And if it's not going to open until 2022, that just shows you how long it takes for a project like this to develop, to actually get started, to break ground, and then actually start their hiring and open their doors. So it takes some time. So on the economic development realm, we had the opportunity in January to do a mock RFI, and an RFI is a request for information. And this was through the Missouri Partnership, and we did this as a group effort with the City of Fulton, the Callaway Electric Cooperative, and the Chamber. And so what actually happens is the Missouri Partnership provides a consultant. They hire a consultant. They give us a project. We complete the project as if it was a true project, and then we submit it to the consultants. Then the consultants will provide us some feedback. They'll come actually for an actual site visit, which in my opinion is a great thing because that will put us on the radar for that particular consultant. But at the end of the day, what it's going to teach us is what we're doing really well and what we're not doing so well so that we can work on those things. So that's pretty exciting for us. Also, we have submitted 3 requests for informations to the Missouri Partnership since January 1st. We're currently working with 8 business owners to open or expand their business. And then we're also working on 4 industry business projects that are non-traditional economic development projects. And I say they're non-traditional because they're not going through the state. They've actually just identified the City of Fulton as a place that they may possibly want to be, and they're just working through us on that project. Okay, so next is supporting our entrepreneurs. Right now we have one of our staff that is participating in the Launch You program offered by the Missouri Partnership or Missouri Women's Business Center, and this right here is just professional development to make us better with our business coaching. We're actively helping 3 businesses locate storefronts, so that is exciting for us. Continue our business coaching, our Shop Local initiatives with the Holiday Advent Calendar and the Loving Local campaign, and this is creating, again, the business awareness, which is tax dollars. That's revenue that's staying in our community. Pop-ups and ribbon cuttings. One thing I want to say about shopping locally is the small businesses, they still need us. They still need us to be promoting that and making sure that people are keeping their money here in our community. Because the pandemic has really injured a lot of these businesses, the retail and the restaurant business. Now, the big industries and the Dollar General distribution centers, they're doing fine. I mean, they have probably more work than they can handle right now and, are still trying to hire. But those small businesses, those mom and pop shops, they need us, and they need us to be talking about sending customers their way. And there is, additional PPP that has just recently came out. So that's that second wave of that payroll protection program. There's some others that's coming out for those businesses that have 20 employees or less. So we're really trying to make sure we keep our finger on the pulse and educate the businesses about those things because they need it. They need that support. The last thing that I want to talk about is workforce development. And in April of 2020, at its peak, Callaway County was at a 6.9%. As of December 2020, it's down to 4.7%. I was on a call last week, and the message was the state of Missouri has recovered about 60% of the jobs that were lost in April of 2020. But we're ahead of a lot of other states, so that's important to us as well. So what are we doing to reskill the workforce? So a lot of people don't realize that if they drew 1 week of unemployment during 2020, that can make them eligible for some of these programs like the Skill Up program from CMCA, MOAMP program, other programs that the Missouri Job Center offers so that they can get that skilled training that they want or they need. Also, we're continuing to work with Jobs for America graduates with the Fulton High School, and we're also planning a 2-day leadership class with Gary Wilbers here in the very near future. So that is it, and at this time I'm going to ask Beth Snyder to come up, our new board president, and we will entertain any questions that you all may have.
You have several welding training units over in your building. Are you finding those in use? Are you having training classes with them, or like the high school trying to get involved? Because I can see welding as a skill being extremely important to a lot of people.
Yeah, so the welding program, we do not have one that's actively going right now. I am trying to seek some funding to pay for instructors for those type of classes. So hopefully, as we go in further into the year, that we'll be able to offer some of those again this year.
Okay, has the high school expressed any interest, I guess you could say?
No,
Really?
no.
Okay.
Okay. On page, the 2020 year in review, is that city and county numbers, Tamra, for the city and the county as a whole?
Okay, so
Your numbers in total, 36 new members, you had lots of other things as far as the distribution, $830,000 between 438 businesses. Obviously, that's the county and the city combined,
yes, that
correct?
is the county and the city, but a majority of those are in the city of Fulton.
Okay, and the same thing with the membership numbers. That's both combined.
Right.
Is there a way that you might be able to break that out and show the two difference?
Yes, I could,
Okay,
most definitely.
simple one. What does JT Farms do?
JT Farms is a meat processing facility, and so they actually raise their own chickens and things like that, and then they process those and sell them.
Okay.
And they have great bacon if you get a chance to try it. It's fantastic.
I haven't, but do you have a link to their website on your?
Yes, they
Okay.
are, if you get on our chamber page on CallawayChamber.net. On our online directory, you should be able to find out all the information you want to know about JT Farms.
Do you know, where are they?
Huh?
Where are they?
I can't understand you, Bill.
Where are they at, location?
They're out off of H, down H.
Hey, Tamara, are there any corporate, I know when Bruce Hackman, when he was doing, interested in the development, excuse me, but when Bruce was, he was giving us a tour, and he said there are so many companies that were interested in our area. Are you getting that same, since he's no longer with the development part, are you getting that same interest, people calling, saying, hey, we are interested in your area and things like that?
Yes, we have 4 right now that we're working,
Okay.
that are non-traditional, yes.
Okay.
And I just want to say, I'm not sure that it's totally clear, but Tamara has taken on what Bruce's role was. And,
Yes.
And, had a couple of, 4 years of training with Bruce to do that, so.
Yes.
And that's what she did in her previous life and her previous job in Arkansas, so we're super lucky to have her. I mean, she's really experienced in that, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm on economic development as well. So the current businesses, do we know what kind of time frame there is for them making a decision?
No,
Have we asked them that question?
yes,
And they, no response from them?
no,
It's a hard time for businesses.
yeah.
To set
To pull the
Right.
punch is it's hard.
Could we put them in categories, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year,
Possibly.
potentially? I mean, I get it that somebody to spend money, I'm surprised we had 8 businesses open in 2020.
Yeah.
Okay, that, a little shocking to me. And I know there was some expansions that happened as well.
Yeah, and there was like 97,000 small businesses that closed down in 2020, and we had 8 that opened up in our community. That says a lot.
And in a community, in a community where entrepreneurship is valued and supported, like it is here, when something changes and shifts in the world as much as COVID has shifted, if we have smart entrepreneurs who are paying attention and are supported with resources, they start new businesses. So that's why the entrepreneurship part is really important to what we're doing here, because you can start a cottage industry sewing masks and selling them or something, so if you're thinking the whole world shifts in something like this, it doesn't happen very often, and that's how little businesses grow into huge businesses, so.
So I think the last question I have, maybe it's not. Is there something that we as the city of Fulton could do? Obviously, they're looking at other towns and cities and other areas of the country, maybe even the state. What can we do to help them push along and get over the hump to decide that Fulton's where it needs to be? And what's holding them up?
Well, for the city council to have incentives that they are just readily available and without, having to come to the table, that I can say, well, the city of Fulton has these 3 things that they can offer right off the bat. That would be fantastic for us.
What would those top 3 things be?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm going to pin it
we
down a little further.
will, pay your sales tax, or we'll give you some utility stuff, or, your building permits, waive some things like that. So, I mean, I just think that's probably a conversation that you guys want to have, and I could come up with a couple of ideas and suggestions to give to you all, if you'd like. But I think we need to have something as far as incentives, because I have been asked that by the non-traditional projects, and I'm like, when we get to the table with the city, then they may have some incentives to offer, but I don't have anything specific that
But
we
at
can.
that point, at times, it can be too late. They've already taken it and gone somewhere else at that point, because somebody
Right.
else was a step ahead of us. Okay.
On the other hand, we don't want to just have a blanket list of incentives out there, because we're going to look at the kind of job it is, we're going to look at how clean it is, we're going to look at the utility consumptions. I mean, it seems like the only thing that really gets, comes to Fulton is folks that want to use 250,000 gallons of water a day. And I think the reason, and I've told some people this, I think that's the reason we get those is because we keep responding. And the other towns just say, no, we don't want.
Well, but if it's employing people in town, if there's a reason behind it, I think it could be beneficial. Maybe not for water, Bill, but having some kind of idea.
I agree that we should have a realm of incentives, but don't take.
Correct.
I don't want Tamara handing them out.
Correct.
Before the city offers an incentive, I want the city to know that the incentive is being offered.
But if Tamara or someone could come and say, Bill, here's a sticking point for Bill, City Council, Mr. Mayor, here's something that's a sticking point for a business, we could address it.
Oh, very
And
easily,
she
but-
does, she's
Yes, we
doing
can.
that at this, as we speak about stuff, so.
Well, so then we as the council just haven't heard about those?
We have not.
Okay.
Also, to my understanding, we quite don't have the quality of workers and a number of workers in this area to support a big business. And that's what I heard from in the past when Bruce was talking with us and sharing that with us. As far as I know, that it's still hard and difficult for them to find workers. Even right now, there's a lot of hiring. They're looking for a lot of people to work, either because of the
And you know, workforce development is one of our strategic plans at the Chamber of Commerce because, you know, our first priority for economic development should be to retain the businesses that we currently have, whether it be a large industry or a small business. But if we have the Dan Husers of the world and the Dollar General distributions that are saying we can't find enough workers, we need to be scaling up and getting more workers. And so we're trying to work with many partners as we can, Missouri Job Center, the CMCA, State Tech College, all of those to get more skilled workers in our community. That's one of the reasons that the Jobs for America graduates is so important in our community, because we need to get those high school students, if they're not going to college, we need to get them to work here, and if they are going to college, they need to go off and they need to come back and work here. That needs to be our message.
Also on our, in that planning and strategic planning, we got to look at, because a lot of our workforces, they got people with records, and maybe their records on there, and they got to supply it, and they say, hey, we're not hiring anybody that's been a felon, but they have, you know, that was a record 5 years ago. And somewhere down the line, we have to look at and see when we want to lower that and say, hey, you had a felon 5 years ago, and you've been clean ever since, and everything has changed. We ought to look at, can this person, is he hireable? Anyway, that's.
And we did do some classes with the Department of Corrections for our employers here, and we've had several employers that have started hiring people in our community that do have records because of that Department of Corrections class. And they learned how to do it, how to screen, all of those things, and it's been very helpful, and some of them have had some very wonderful candidates come from those programs.
I think the governor was, he met with a lot of us ministers, and he shared that same feeling on that. Okay.
And I know a lot of communities are lowering the bar of their hiring practices through the court system of being restricted for employment because of criminal history. Some of the communities are actually going to the court systems and saying, hey, can you lower these bars so we can hire people that otherwise wouldn't be able to be hired? So that may be something that we could look at around here. I know with the crime, you know, we're going to be struggling to get people to work at our new housing, you know, nursing centers. So it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better on the healthcare industry.
And it's not just the employees, it's the employers being a good place to work, offering, you know, competitive wages, because, I mean, you know, there's a trade-off, so helping the employers and the companies and helping them to know how to make it a healthy and a productive place to work for everybody. That's part of our job too.
Anything else?
I'm down to one.
Oh, okay.
Last one. So I've heard and read a lot of articles and tried to keep up on the overpayment of unemployment. Have you heard or seen in our community a bunch of people that is affected? That is huge for some of these people.
I have 30 or so employees who are $12 to $13 an hour employees. And we try to make it a great place to work, and so we have no problem hiring people, but that is a big competitive issue.
No, maybe I didn't explain my question well enough. The state overpaid with, I believe it was with federal funds during the COVID reimbursement and
okay.
extras.
I know what you're talking about.
Have we heard of people being overpaid in our community for that? And I
I'm not
can't
aware of
figure
that
out
yet.
anywhere where it says exactly what the issue was and where it falls, whether it was a computer glitch or what. I can't find it. But I just wondered if we've heard that a bunch. Because some of them, we're talking, some of these people, $8,000, $10,000 that they're looking to have to repay.
Yeah, I have
That's
not
huge
heard that from
for
anyone
some
yet.
employees.
I have not heard that.
Just trying to
It's
figure
out
out where
there.
it's coming from.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
All righty, thank you, ladies.
I have to say, I'm very excited about some of these new businesses. We actually had Miss Kim's this past weekend, and we had our family over, and they loved it. So,
Yeah, people
It's
are
a great
coming from
addition.
all over to have her
Yes.
chicken and fish.
it's amazing.
It's amazing how one or two businesses that are keystones, we bring somebody in and then they come to my shop for a couple of
Right.
You know, it's a whole ecosystem. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you all.
All righty. Next up, we have our land that we've hopefully are going to get leased.
Maybe, but before I advertise it, before I go to the discussion and the work of having the engineers draw up a legal description and come up with a map, I just want to get your opinion from the city council that you're okay with it. City has several acres out to the east of the landfill, and in the area where we have the roll-off, some of the roll-off containers next to a barn. We've been approached by a guy that would like to rent that property to run some cattle on. There's a pond back there, there's pretty good water. I've had JC go out with them, and they got in a four-wheeler and went around the entire perimeter. It's gonna take a lot of new fence. The city would not build that fence. We're not gonna make fence. We're gonna if we do this, we'll let the next guy do it. If you give the blessing, we'll draw up some maps and draw up the legal, and then we'll advertise it for so much a season, so much a year, with the knowledge that we'll probably do it for 3 or 4 years, knowing that the farmer's gonna have to build a lot of fence just to make the first year optional, just to get it going. So, if he's not gonna take it serious, he's not gonna wanna do it. So, and like I said, I've thrown J.C. Miller's name out there a couple times. He was the solid waste manager for I don't know, decades. He knows the property like the back of his hand. He will work with us to pull this off. We will not be renting out the butterfly farm, and we will not be renting out or allowing any cattle to graze on the surface of the landfill. It's all to the east of the existing landfill, the permitted area.
So this is fallow right now?
It's,
Nobody's doing anything with it?
nobody's doing anything with it.
Okay.
There's a bunch of volunteer trees growing that about every 5 years we go out there and try and mow them down. They've gotten just a little bit too big for that. And, there is a pond out there, but nobody's haying it, nobody's doing anything. So I'm actually kind of excited about getting some cattle running on there to keep the trees worked down, keep the grass worked down, and make sure the fences are good. And I think it'd be good for the land.
Thank you for mentioning the butterfly
We will not,
field.
butterflies will not be a part of it.
That was going to be my first question. Thank you.
I think to get use out of the land is a good idea.
I mean, I would not expect us to get rich off of this, I'm just telling you. It's not gonna be,
Several people, I mean, offer to,
oh, we'll put an ad in the paper.
okay.
We'll advertise it. We won't offer it to anybody.
No, that's what I'm saying.
We'll put an ad in the paper, we'll advertise it and let people submit bids on, here's what you need to do. You need to build a bunch of vents
Yeah.
and you need to,
So what happens if we agree to this and get a lease worked up that's agreeable, and a year into this, or even 6 or 8 months into this, industry approaches City of Fulton, says, hey, we need 150 acres of land to put whatever on. How do we get out of this and
we could put a clause in there to get out of it, that we'd probably have to reimburse them for the cost of the fence.
Right.
I don't see this land as being possible for industry. It's about, it's out there near the landfill. There's no city water, there's no city sewer, there's not city electric, natural gas, there's no utilities. Somebody might approach us and say, we want to buy it because we want to build some houses or something, but as far as an industry and us needing to get out quick, I don't see that as being an issue. And we do have that clause, we just recently re-let the Yato farm. And we do have the get out of jail real quick clause in those contracts.
Gotcha. Well, as we get closer, that'll just be something we need to be thinking about, for sure.
So I'm not hearing any, yes.
Bill?
What about sale versus lease? Why would we, would we want to consider,
Because we are still using a lot of the property for the storage of the roll-off containers.
okay, thank you. But would that continue with this type of lease?
Yes,
Okay,
our roll-off containers will probably be inside the fence line.
okay, thank you.
Be back scratchers.
Yeah.
I have no issue with it whatsoever. I just know that, or I feel like in the past, and I'm specifically thinking about the piece of property that's outside of the city warehouse, that when somebody approached us about that, did we not just sell that to them outright and it never went up for bid? And so my question is, are we following the same process and procedure?
What piece of property? And I'm not saying, I just don't remember what you're talking about.
So the little corner piece there that was, we had somebody that was interested in, and I'm fairly sure it went through, that was interested in potentially putting some apartments or something out on Westminster.
We did declare that a surplus, but that did not go through as far as I am aware. It would be on the frontage of Westminster Avenue. We did declare that a
I'm drawing a
surplus, but I
blank,
don't
John.
believe.
Okay, and that's okay. That's all right. I'm sure I could go back and find it.
Wasn't that somebody leasing those buildings in the old warehouse?
No, it's across the street. It's where all the pine trees are in the corner.
We rezoned it, and we were gonna put it up as surplus property.
I think somebody was looking at that piece and we rezoned it, but as far as I went.
I just want to make sure that we're following.
Okay, that's like in that situation, John, we had, thank you for, when you said the pine trees right there at the warehouse. We had an individual or a company that was interested in putting up some student housing, okay?
I knew it was apartment.
It was.
I don't remember student housing, but that's okay.
And we were very interested in getting some additional student housing in town. We would have written the request for proposals in such a way that there's going to be student housing on that property. Okay? So if you want to put a bid in on that property, you're agreeing that within a year or 2 years or whatever, that you are going to be constructing student housing on that property.
But to keep it fair and ethical, that would have been available to any builder.
Anybody.
Sure,
Anybody.
and that's where I was going, just to make sure we're following the same guidelines on everyone that we do.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm all for it.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. All right, council concerns, I'll start to my right. Councilman Shiverdecker.
I'm good tonight, thank you.
All right, Councilman Braun.
I just, it's been the second meeting. Do we have any update on our HR and Personnel Board and Committee?
Jeff Stone and I have had a discussion, and he's going to be getting.
I owe him some information, John.
What's that?
I owe Bill some information.
Okay.
And that's the holdup is me.
Jeffrey.
Yep. I'm taking it publicly, yes.
Thank
It's
you.
me.
That's all.
All right, Councilman Simmons?
I have no items.
Councilwoman Reclus?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
And Councilman Stone?
Just echo the huge thank yous to all the city workers and everybody else these past couple of weeks. It's been amazing to watch how everybody's come together. I've watched neighborhoods shovel snow and all of that. So just huge thank you to everybody, especially the city workers.
Absolutely. Councilwoman Pace Snook?
Well, I was just going to say the same thing, Mr. Stone. So thank you, everybody, and thank all the citizens at home that bundled up and turned their heat down and tried to use less gas and less electricity. I know I was definitely bundled up in my house too, but it made it kind of fun for a little while.
Probably more fun for the kids than the adults.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Councilman Washington?
Mr. Mayor, we have Clay here. I had the opportunity to go through the building of the Rexplex, I mean, not the Rexplex, but the Legend facility, and I saw his guys pulling wires, and a lot of wires, and it's pretty impressive. They were working pretty hard. Who we have to hook up all that stuff? I know those guys don't probably have the skills or the training. Do we got an IT person here? Or who's
I
gonna
think
be
part of the
doing that?
contract is that the contractor does the final wiring,
The
don't they?
contractor will train, show us how to do 3 or 4, and then Clay's guys and various other city employees will finish it out.
Okay, so we do have an IT person here to
Yes.
be the overseer on that, because it's important that I believe that we want to make sure it's hooked up right. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. We will keep on trucking here. We do not have resolutions tonight. We do have ordinances up next. Councilman Simmons, if you would present Bill number 1608 for first read.
Yes, sir. Bill number 1608, an ordinance reenacting section 2-9 through 2-13 of the Fulton City Code pertaining to an annual financial disclosure requirement and establishing an effective date. I make a motion, we advance Bill number 1608 to second reading at the next scheduled council meeting.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, do you want to kind of tell us what this is?
Sure. So every 2 years, the Missouri Ethics Commission requires that we re-up our conflict of interest statement in our ordinance. So this is the exact same one that we've had in effect. It mirrors the state code, and basically this is just sufficing that requirement to continue those financial disclosures that all of you are very familiar with and have mostly recently completed. This is a good time to remind you that if you have not completed it, you have until May 1st to do so, and I will be reminding you until we get to that point.
All right, so I have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. And we'll move that on for second reading next time. Next up, we have a third read, Bill number 1606, if you would, Councilman Braun.
Bill number 1606, an ordinance reclassifying under the zoning ordinance an unimproved tract of land located northwest of Jamestown Drive and adjoining thereto in Fulton, Missouri, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion to move Bill 1606 to third and final passage at the next meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We've been presented this a couple of times now. Is there any other discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. You've all heard the bill read 3 times. At this time, Madam Clerk, if you would take roll call for final passage.
All right, Ms. Pace Snook?
Yes.
Ms. Reclus?
Yes.
Mr. Shiverdecker?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Yes.
And Mr. Braun.
Yes.
7 council members affirmative and 1 absent.
All right, we have one announcement this evening. Our next meeting is The city council will be held here on Tuesday, March 9th. A work session will precede that at 6:30. I do not have any other announcements. Entertain motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.